Stephanie here with a video for My Favorite Things. In today's video, I'm going to be recreating a couple of cards that design team member Barbara created using new products from our March 2017 release. So I'm going to be using the new Lions and Tigers stamp set. This is going to be my accent stamp set, and I'm going to be creating a bunch of different cards using the Blueprints 31 Dynamics. This is our newest addition to the Blueprints line, and the great thing about the Blueprints dies is they contain a bunch of different dies in one set that work really well together to create different card designs. So Barbara created a set of 4 different cards, and in the video I'm just going to create 2, but I am going to show you the 4 finished cards at the end, just to kind of show you different ways that you can mix and match the different elements to create different card designs. So the first thing I did was stamp out my images onto some cardstock panels here. So I stamped 2 of the tigers onto some orange fizz cardstock, and then I also stamped 2 of the lions onto some biscotti cardstock, which is kind of like a beigey yellow color. And then to add a little bit of ink detail to the images, just to kind of give them some shadow and a little bit of definition, I'm going the easy way. I'm taking an ink blending tool and some distress ink, and I'm just lightly adding some color to the left-hand side of the images and kind of pulling it towards the right and letting it fade off as I go. Now this is a super simple, easy way to add a little bit of color, but you can definitely kick it up a notch and use markers or pencil crayons or anything that you'd like just to kind of give a little bit more definition to the stamped images. I really like that Barbara stamped the images onto colored cardstock versus just plain white. I think it's just really unexpected, and it really adds to these images since they are lions and tigers and they're traditionally a yellow or an orange color. So I finished my inking, and then I just used my coordinating die cuts and I cut those out, and I'm just going to set them aside now to work on the actual card base. So I have the blueprints set in front of me here, and you can see there's a ton of different great dies that go in this set. I'm also going to be using the Black and White Basics paper pad on the card designs. This is one of our newest paper pads, and it's really great because all of the patterns in this set are all black and white, so they really go nicely with any colors that you're using in your card designs. I have a white top folding card base that's already cut and scored, and it's an A2 size card, which is 5.5 by 4.25 inches. And I've already went ahead and die cut my pieces that I'm going to use in this design. So I have 2 of the little banners cut from black cardstock. I have the sentiment strip cut from white, and then I cut the main circle element from the pattern paper, and also cut it a second time with sweet tooth cardstock just to give it a little bit of support because we're going to add it to the card with some foam adhesive. For the main panel on my card, I used the largest stitch rectangle that comes in the die set, and I cut it out of the same orange fizz cardstock that we use for our stamping. And now I want to add a little bit of an embossed detail to that background. So what I'm doing is I'm just using my die cutting machine. This is my Big Shot, and rather than using the bottom cutting plate, I'm just using a rubber mat. And what that's going to do is it's going to allow me to use this die and emboss it versus cutting it right through the cardstock. So I've laid down my rubber mat, I laid my cardstock panel on there, then I put the die on top of that, and then I put my cutting mat directly on top. And when I do that, it gives me this great embossed detail. You can see it when I kind of tilt it in the light. We get the smaller rectangle embossed into the larger one, and you get that little subtle stitch detail in the embossing. It's just a really great way to add a little bit more definition and detail on your card without having an extra layer on the actual card base. So now that I have that done, I'm going to go ahead and assemble all the pieces. So I added the orange panel to my top folding card base, and then I am going to adhere this pattern paper circle piece onto the card with some foam adhesive. So before I did that, I did add that white cardstock panel that we cut just to kind of give it some support. And then I just trimmed down my foam adhesive so I could easily kind of go around that circle with it. And then I'm also going to put it on the 2 outside edges. And then I'm just going to position this circle piece right in the center area of my orange panel. I really love the contrast of this black and white pattern on the orange cardstock. I just think it really pops off the card, and I love the definition and detail you get by having the whole circle panel raised with the foam adhesive. Now, since the outside panel is a little bit plain, we are adding a few banners to the top area. So I've just cut 2 of the little banners from black cardstock and adhered them directly to the panel. And then I also added a black center to the circle area before we're going to adhere our tiger. Now, since the outside circle area is on foam adhesive, I did put some foam adhesive on the back of the tiger before adding him to the center area of the card. And then to finish off this design, we're just going to stamp the sentiment, which is "Go Get 'em Tiger," right on the white banner that we cut out. I just used black licorice dye ink. And then we're going to adhere that right over top of the circle area. And I forgot to add some foam adhesive on the ends of the banner, and since it's lifted off in the center, I needed to add a little bit of foam on the two ends to make everything kind of the same level, and then that's going to complete the first card. So for the second card that we're going to create in today's video, I'm using the same die set, the Blueprints 31, and we have some more components cut from that die set. And we're going to kind of do a similar design, but kind of mix it up a little bit and change things and use a few more of the dies in the set. So this time I've taken the smaller rectangle die and I've cut it out of the same cardstock color that we use for our stamping for the lion. And then I'm going to do some die cutting of this panel. So I have the center circle area cut out with that chevron black and white pattern paper, but I want to do some cutting of the actual cardstock piece so that we can kind of puzzle piece everything back together. And the great thing about this blueprint set is it has this die here that you can see that I'm adding to the panel here, and it perfectly cuts the shape around the circle area. So what I'm doing is I'm kind of using the circle piece as my guide, and I'm adding some repositionable tape here to hold everything in place. And then I can easily run this panel through my die cut machine and cut out that shape. And what I'm going to be left with is a top and bottom piece that are going to perfectly go around that center area on our finished card design. So before we adhere anything together, we are going to do some more of this dry embossing. I have the new Radiating Ray stencil, and Barbara did some embossing with this stencil, and I love that idea. I never remember to do embossing with my stencils, so this was a great reminder of how awesome it looks to have that little bit of subtle texture to a card panel. So you can see there, once I ran it through, I have the outline of the sun rays in my cardstock panel, and it just gives some really nice subtle texture. So now that everything is die cut and embossed, we can go ahead and assemble the card. So I am adding my two beige pieces onto the largest rectangle area, which I've die cut from black cardstock. And now you can see that that circle piece fits perfectly in between those two die cut pieces. So I added that on once again with foam adhesive. Put the beige center back into the center area of that card, and now I'm going to adhere the entire finished panel onto a top folding white card base. Once again, this is an A2 size card, so it's 4 1/4 by 5 1/2 inches. And then I'm just going to put my lion directly in the center of that circle area and stamp my sentiment once again onto one of the white banners. This one here has stitching on each end and actually reaches right across the rectangle die. So I'm going to adhere this direct onto the card with regular adhesive, and that is going to give me the finished card with a great sentiment on the bottom. And then once I have that done, that's my two cards that I'm going to create in today's video. You can see here I actually have 4 fully made, so you can see a couple other examples of ways to use the Blueprints 31 to create fun card designs, to create card sets that kind of look similar but do have a bit of a different design, but work great to give as card sets. Thank you so much to Barbara for providing these card samples for us to recreate in today's video. And as always, I thank you so much for watching. I appreciate you being here, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video.